Welcome to Small Town Big Business, a podcast about doing big business in small towns in the Midwest, United States. I'm your host, Allison Hassler, with my co-host,
Russell Williams. And we're coming to you from the Citadel building in downtown Marion, Illinois, home of Ethos Entrepreneurial and Technical Opportunities. We're a small, emerging small business incubator here in Southern Illinois.
And on Small Town Big Business, we interview successful business owners in small towns to find out why and how they do business in small towns. Today, our guests are Padra and Anthony Franks of Yellow Door Inc.
Hello.
Welcome, guys.
Hey,
hello.
Welcome. We were just saying how excited we are to have you. You guys are on our short list for our podcast. So happy that you could be with us today.
Oh, same here. We've been waiting for this for a long time.
We're happy to be here as well.
And we've had to keep changing the dates and recording from COVID and all the things. And
Yes.
That's okay.
And you're busy.
But we're here now.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
And it's fall in Southern Illinois. Finally,
It's beautiful.
fall. Do you guys?
This month.
What's your favorite season?
Oh, fall. Definitely.
Fall,
All
yeah.
the fairs and parades.
Yeah.
And yes.
It's not as rainy and it's cool, like that's my
It's the best
favorite time.
construction
It is beautiful.
weather, too.
Football season, high school football,
Yeah.
all the local things you can support.
And I just
be
heard
outside.
that Riddleman Orchards has got their apple cider donuts coming out this weekend.
Oh.
Have you had an apple cider donut? Oh, you're going to have to go to the Riddleman Orchards. I've had one.
Oh.
I've had one.
They sell out quick.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
So good. So good.
So we are here to talk about your business, Yellow Door Inc. Can you describe to our listeners what Yellow Door Inc. is?
You want to take that? Or you want me to go?
We're just saying it's our first
I'll
interview.
take that. So we're just basically a construction company. We like to build cool houses and, pay fine attention to detail and I don't know, just give a different look to Southern Illinois. And that's really what we wanted to do when we came back home. So.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into this and get really in the weeds about how your construction company is completely set apart from any other because of your business structure and your style. Mm-hmm. But I want to take a step back and talk about your upbringings and how you guys got together. Pedro and I were graduate cohorts, I guess.
Yes.
that would be the best.
We go back to SIU.
Yeah, at SIU. And so I know that your business or your background is in public health, not in business and marketing and all the things, even though you do them flawlessly. I want to go back into where it all began and how you guys got started.
I'll
Okay.
let you start.
Well, Anthony and I were high school sweethearts. So I'm a terrier, and he actually grew up in Marion, but then graduated from Murfreesboro. So we
Wildcats.
met.
Okay. Carbondale.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're the
So we, met in high school, and we bonded over our ACL tears, and
Both athletes.
yeah, both athletes, and went through college and got married and lived here for a while. We moved to Atlanta and really started doing real estate while we were there. And Anthony, he's done many of things from cutting hair to music to
And
real
that's
estate.
publishing?
Yeah.
That was part of the publishing company?
All
Yeah.
of that, yep.
Anthony's a serial entrepreneur, right?
I'm not.
That is
I'm
great.
more like, the typical, path. I went to college, and he's always, we joke about how when he was a kid, he used to collect turtles and go sell them in the neighborhood. and flip bikes.
I've always
That's
worked
amazing.
for myself. But I've always wanted to build houses. Like, that's always been my goal. Like, I've always wanted to build to that. So whatever process or steps it took to get there, that's what I did. I enjoyed music. I enjoyed cutting hair first. I did that, started cutting hair when I was like 10 or 11, and then got really good at that, started cutting all the kids' hair around the neighborhoods, and then, I was playing basketball through high school and then went to college, and I've always done music. A friend of mine, Chris Harris, he owns Route 51 Brewery.
Okay,
We started doing music together in 8th grade. We
In
went
basement.
undefeated that whole year in junior high in basketball. And Chris and DuCoin, we beat them by like 30 the first time we played them. And then the next time we played them, was like going to the championship game and they beat us. So we were 23-1 that year, and Chris is the guy that beat us. So he'll always have bragging rights because of that. But we started doing music together in 8th grade. After 8th grade year, like high school. And he got this little 4-track recorder, and we started making music and making songs, and we ended up moving to Orlando together. He went to Full Sail to recording engineering school. Yeah. And of course, I was just along for the ride. I wrote songs, lyric and melody. And so met a whole bunch of people there, and then it all kind of, I could tell you the whole story, but it'd take forever. But either way, it led me to some great contacts, and got in the music industry and wrote some cool songs, met some cool people, and made a little money, and I took that money and invested that into real estate.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what you made, you said you were interested in construction. You've been interested in homes for a long time.
My dad actually did a lot of building when I was younger. Like he'd do build houses, he'd build additions onto houses, he'd do different decks and build decks and stuff for people, and I'd always be around just kind of looking. I'm like, man, that's kind of cool, you know. And then my uncle, Tommy Ricks, he started building new constructions, and I was really into that whole process. And so I've always wanted to build cool houses, just different stuff though. Like we did it as cool kids, man. We were like hanging out in the backyard, and we lived by the railroad track, so we'd sneak back there and we'd take these crates and build these cool tree houses. And I was always into building the best tree house, and I'd have to give that title to a friend of mine, but now we just kind of take that same concept and use it for homes around here, and hopefully we'll bring something different that people like and want to move into. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's kind of where we're at.
So tell me about your move to Atlanta and why you made that decision and what that driver was to come back.
The move to Atlanta was it's crazy. I met some people in LA through the music industry, and he introduced me. His name is God, I'm gonna be mad if his name is Nick Velo. He's actually a big publishing guru now. And Nick introduced me to a guy named Kendrick Dean, who was a Grammy Award-winning producer. And he lived there. And Kendrick was just like, yeah, I think you should come to Atlanta for a little while. And I was like, kicking around the idea. And I mentioned it to Padra, and she was like,
that's when I met you. Yep. Because I was getting my master's at that time.
Yeah, and we just had Amaya.
So we had our daughter.
Our first daughter, you know, our first kid. And, you know, I had to leave them for like a year, but it was worth it. But anyway, Kendrick got me into a barbershop there, and I started cutting hair there. And I was in this barbershop, and I was working. And I'd see all these different writers and producers come in, and I'm just like, man, they ain't taking me seriously because I'm in the barbershop, you know. And I just, you know, I'd be thinking about that all day. And then one day I just quit cutting hair in the shop and pursued music. And however I had to do it, whatever, you know, my brothers helped me out if I ever needed something. He would send me a little something and make sure I was good. And I quit cutting hair. I mean, it was a huge jump, like, just a leap of faith. Like, I'm gonna make it work. Like, people take me more serious if I'm in the studio all the time writing and recording than they would if I was in, you know, the barbershop and they come there and see me. So either way, I did that, and it kind of panned out. It was a couple years a struggle, we'll say. Like, it was rough.
He would be in the studio for like, I don't know, it'd always be at night. So you'd be in there from like 6 p.m. till like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be waking up to go to my internship, and then we'd take Amaya to daycare, and it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was worth it. It was,
you know, figuring out how to make ends meet and, you know, try to make that work. But, you know, I always had faith. It's just, you know, I was dead set on, I'm going to make something happen. And, you know, we ended up getting blessed a couple years later, and I signed a big publishing deal, and we took that and we've invested that ever since then. And so that's kind of what we worked on. But it was a long journey, definitely a lot of figuring out. But, you know, I was really, really, really down for that roller coaster ride, man. All the ups, all the downs, I enjoyed every bit of it. you know. So that's kind of, and then then we were like, okay, it's I want to do this at home. I wanted to be closer to my mom and dad, you know,
My parents
closer
are
to
here.
her parents.
Yep.
Our parents are in Carbondale. Mine are here in Marion, and I just wanted to do some cool stuff in my hometown, and that's what we've kind of been doing ever since. So
How long?
Go ahead.
How long ago was that?
we moved back home in 2016.
16 or 17?
It was mid 2016, 2017.
And Yellow Door construction started at that time.
Yeah, we came back home and we renovated this house on Boulevard Street, and then after that we actually bought this small little tiny house on Hendrickson that we at an auction that we renovated, and then we were like, we should just try. I was like, we should try something new. I don't know if Pedro's into that, but
I'm always just like, okay. Okay, if you want, let's try it. He's always the idea person. I'm always the.
Yeah, I just wanted to start something from, you know, footings to finish trim. I wanted to start something brand new, and you know, a friend of mine, Philip, I would call him every day. Man, who's good at this, and he's like, I can do that. I was like, who's good at? I can do that. And then I had another friend of mine, Brian. He's a great framer, and Brian came and helped me frame up the first duplex. And then, you know, we got that place finished. And then another guy, he's an investor. He builds like a lot of rentals and stuff around here. He said, hey, could you do that for me? And I was like, yeah, I can do that for you. And so we started doing that. But I'm in the houses, like. Apartments are cool, but everything is the same. It's like you know, repetitive. Like everything is like, I don't like doing the same thing every day, guys. I don't know if you can call it ADD or whatever it is, but I like to do something different. I like to be in the things that, you know, entertain me, make me want to get up and go every day. And houses are that. Like, you know, I want to do cool different houses and different designs. I don't want to do the typical. Not that the typical is bad, but I just want to do something new and fresh. And when people ride by it and they see it, they're like, oh, that's cool. And maybe, you know, their kids will one day be like, I want Yellow Door to build us a house. You know, like, I just want to do cool stuff. And so, you know,
I think that really speaks to the artist inside of you, that you need that freedom to build from a blank canvas. And that definitely speaks to the fact that you are an artist, and that really transpires into the work that you do now. So I want to pull back from when you moved back to Southern Illinois. Pedro, you were still working full-time for a position that was based in Atlanta, and you were doing remote work. This is all pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. I was remote pre-COVID.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and I know because we're friends, you went through a process of reducing a little hours.
Yes.
And then finally it was like, okay, I'm ready to go all in.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you don't just walk into owning a successful business overnight. You know, it's definitely an evolution. So, like Anthony just said, we started with just doing our own little projects, and then we had an investor, and then we, you know, have done, you know, custom homes and spec homes. And so that evolution of going from like one project to like 5 projects and so on requires extra assistance. And so I'm more of like the system person on our team.
She's the most important part. Like, what I do is just like crazy stuff. What she does, she's like, without her, Yellow Door would be Yellow Door. Like it's, and I'm out here, I'll say that. Like what she does is very important. Like she, you know, systems. I'm used to freelancing. I'm used to doing things just on the go. How I like to do them. She likes structure.
Well, gradually, like those little things that make a business operate and function on a day-to-day require a full-time person. And so that was kind of that transition from him being like, hey, can you help me with this, to, okay, every single day I need to be doing something in this. And so it starts to take that up. So I did taper off definitely from, you know, I was at a Health Empowers out of Norcross, Georgia, worked there for, I think, 5 years. And over that time, it was a tough decision, you know, to step away, because it is that feeling of, well, this is a guaranteed, you know, paycheck. This is all guaranteed, or so you think anyways, you know. And so to step away, but I mean, looking back, absolutely no regrets, because it's really fun to create and kind of have everything, all of those decisions. When you work at a place, you have a lot of red tape. You can't even change the color of a document without getting someone's okay sometimes. So to be able to say, like, I remember for a while I'd ask Anthony, like, hey, you think I should do this? He's like, just do it. Just try it. Just do it. You don't have to ask for my permission. Just do it. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So that transition's been definitely a lot of lessons learned, but looking back, it was a great decision.
Yeah, you've got a nice combination of strengths, then those are complementary to each other.
Sometimes it leads to a little bit of having to figure each other out,
I get
but
that.
I think
it's good.
the process of getting her to leap was the main thing, and once she figured out, I jumped and I didn't die, I'm okay, I'm here, I'm still, everything is still good, I think that first, initial, like, am I really gonna quit this to do something like this, and do something on my own? And I think, like, figuring out after you it's cool. Like, there's gonna be some work and figuring out on the way down, but normally you're gonna be all right, Like, and so I think, just getting her to that mindset to, and businesses, taking calculated risk.
I'm the calculator.
There you go.
She's a calculator, and I'm more
There
like,
you
let's
go.
do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But
I'll run the numbers about 25 different ways to make sure that makes sense, and he's like already started it. His gut's telling him to do it. He's like, oh, by the way. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we can tell you're very passionate.
Yeah.
And that is awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your challenges. This is not Atlanta. This is Marion, Illinois, Southern Illinois. What challenges do you guys have as business owners and challenges in a small town?
Well, the main challenge is, kind of being the first to try something different, that people aren't accustomed to, that they kind of have to adjust to, that, I've never seen a house look quite like this. I don't really know if it's something I want to live in, but most people have been like, these are really cool. I like them, and it's been good. I think some of the challenges are, we want to build things that are so nice, like, we want everything on the inside, all the detail, like, we pay attention to everything, we like higher end finishes, we like the quartzes, and we like the tiled showers, and I think the challenge is,
How do you give $1 million home on a budget?
I think, like, appraisals need to be better around here. I think, like, if they need to realize that there are people that are going to build you the, quick spec homes, like builder grade stuff, and then there are people that are going to build, more higher end homes that are very attentive to detail, to every detail. And I think all that needs to be taken into consideration. And then sometimes I don't think that those builders that pay attention to detail are appreciated as much. I think that's a challenge for me, because I care. Like, you got people that are coming to buy these homes, and they're going to live in them for 30 years. Like, you don't want in 5 years a house to be falling to pieces, and so we really care about our homes, like each and every one. We don't want to build the same home twice. Like, that's our yellow door theme. Like, we build character in every home. Like, we want to build a different house each time. We don't want to build the same thing. So everybody, when they buy one of our homes, they're going to get something that's, creative and custom to that specific build. And I just don't think that that's appreciated as much as I would like it to be.
So there's an educational piece to your business.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is creative artists.
Right.
Business is, this is what we create, but I need to teach you why it is and how to appreciate it.
And that is a really unique business structure, because you usually fall into two different categories. It's spec homes that you build without a buyer and you sell, but you put everything on pretty much builder basic structure. Or you're custom with already the buyer in place that you're working with, and everything is custom to their liking. And you've kind of married the two with you build like it's a spec home, but it's completely custom without the buyer yet.
Yep.
Yes.
And that is not done in Southern
That's
Illinois.
risky.
In fact, I don't know where it's done. I'm sure that this is done in more metropolitan areas, but that's definitely new for Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
And that's probably a concept that is hard for people to wrap their minds around. But that sets you apart in such a wonderful way because when somebody drives by one of your homes, they know that it was yours.
Right.
And they are beautiful
That's
and
true.
modern and you can tell that they are just as beautiful on the inside as they are on the outside because like you said, every last detail has been thought out.
Hello, this is Russ and Allison, and thank you for watching the Small Town Big Business podcast. We also want to thank our sponsors for making this possible. We want to thank Fowler Heating and Cooling, the Watermark Auto Group Foundation, Arcadia Wealth Group, also Black Diamond Harley-Davidson RV, Southern Illinois Vacation Rentals, the Swinford Media Group, and of course our producer, Union Street Arts.
You can join the Small Town Big Business community by subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen on your favorite platform. Subscribing is free and you won't miss upcoming episodes that are released every 2 weeks.
And if you want to know more about the Small Town Big Business podcast, or you want to know more about the Ethos Small Business Incubator co-working spaces here on Tower Square Plaza in the Citadel building, simply go to members.ethosmarion.org.
Thanks again for being with us today. And now back to our show. So I want to go into what your biggest strengths are as a business. And I know you guys had talked about a little bit, but what those things are about your business that you love the most.
I love the creative side. Like, I like designing houses. I like designing floor plans that I think people will like, love, or, trying a different color on a house that somebody probably didn't think would look cool, and then it looks cool, My thing is the art side, and like you said, being an artist of some sort, I like each home to be a piece of art. Like it's like my painting. Like how we got Nick Allen around here that does these cool paintings. Like each house is designed, and I feel like that's my piece of art. Well, our piece of art, and because Padra comes in and she's like, we should use these lights here, and when she has a lot of input, and so together we make this cool team, and that's my side. That's what I enjoy is creating something cool and different. Hers, I'll let her tell.
I feel like we're just gonna keep trying different things. Like I think we're never gonna get comfortable. Like every time we find like right now we have 2 lots right by the square that we're gonna build really nice houses right there, and we're gonna make it a point to keep finding spots close to the square to build these really cool homes in. And so we want to take the lot, take something that somebody doesn't see the potential yet, and just make it everything that we see it being. And so, in turn the area helps us, and we help the area as much as we can to build it into this eclectic, unique space that you can come and walk around and just visually, aesthetically enjoy.
Yeah, I think that everything like Marion has going on, like the potential for Marion, and even finding lots around the square, like that's been our goal. Like we want to build in places that like you can walk right up here and have Crown Brew or the Vault, and kind of enjoy the square and all the art and everything else that they're going to do here. And so but what I enjoy is creating those pieces of art. So.
And what's the number one resource to make your business successful?
Number one resource.
Tactical or otherwise?
For me, and I can't speak for you, it's been like always being resourceful and having like this can-do attitude. I think that's been the number one thing, because especially with all the challenges over the last couple of years, it's really kind of pushed pushed your creativity.
Yeah.
And from it, I think it's allowed us, because like we'll go and we'll have a light or a bathtub or whatever that we want to get, and it's on back order for like 4 months. So you have to get resourceful, you have to get creative, and so having that, and also the network, the team, our subs,
that's
the city, everyone being on board and wanting to see that vision come to life and being supportive. I think that those have been huge in any success that we've had, especially during the COVID times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been different. Things that used to take 2 to 3 weeks to get in now take 2 to 3 months. It's weird. It's like prepping to build these 2 houses on Buchanan and Mechanic Street now, and I'm ordering windows now. I'm ordering siding now, and doors and sliding doors like right now. And we haven't even started footings, like the process. So, it's definitely been different, but I've learned to enjoy every part of it. So,
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it.
So, since you guys are able to compare and contrast very realistically, because you lived in Atlanta, so you've lived in that metropolitan environment, how can you say, or what would you say about doing business in a small town that is unique to a small town versus having a business in a metropolitan area?
And what you like about being here?
I love it.
You know what I like about being here? First of all, Marion is like the best, by the way. Like, I've been to a lot of small towns, and now, like people my age, you guys' age, we're doing cool things. Like, it's like, I like the cool, vibey environment that we have right now. Like, what I enjoy about Marion and what we do here is the fact that we can be a first. Like, we could be the ones that are doing this particular thing first. Like, that's a big ordeal for, like, we could just be lost in the crowd of people that are doing what we're doing there, but it's like we're like one of a kind. Well, I wouldn't say one of a kind. There are other builders that are trying different cool things, but I just feel like, we've tried some stuff first, and to be the first is really cool, especially in the town you were born and raised in. Like, you've always dreamed of, building these cool things. And so for me, it's being the first to try these things.
That's awesome.
And, that's what I love about being in a small
It is like
town.
putting a fresh stroke on an old canvas.
Exactly.
And being the person that comes in to do that. I mean, that is really cool.
Yeah.
And watching everyone else doing it too, like you
Yeah.
guys with the podcast, like just seeing everyone like in our age group, like starting to, like you were saying, come forward and go follow their
good
passions.
vibes.
It's
Yeah.
inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I also see like there's so much, like to go back to the red tape, like there's so much when you're in a city, but here it's like we know the names of the people and we can just go and talk to them, and it's just an easier process to get through all of that. And then we all have this common vision for where we want to see our area that we hold so near and dear to our heart be. And so I think that we all are like, well, whatever we got to do to get the job done.
Yeah.
And we have that common mentality, and to see that and to see everybody doing that and wanting to get to that place is, I mean, how many people have the mayor's cell phone number? Like, they can just call and text him. It's crazy.
It's not really. I mean, on the flip side, there was a time that we didn't know, like, if that was going to be, and I think that Mike got in office and he's done some really cool things, and I think that people are just kind of following his lead, and also everybody's on the same page with, making it a really cool town to live in, and I think that that's very important. A few years ago we didn't know. We was like, should we stay here?
We
Should
did have that
and that's just being honest, like. As much as I love Marion, like, is everybody on the same page? Is everybody, wanting to make this town the coolest little small town you can live in, and grow it? And I think that that was a big ordeal for me, not too long ago, a few years back. And I was just like, man, because we didn't know. But we stuck it out, and we're here, and and now things are changing drastically.
Yeah, and Mike being Mayor Mike Absher, we want to make sure we mention that.
Mike Absher.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point that there is a lot of more red tape in the larger metropolitan areas, and it doesn't mean that we have no red tape here.
Right.
We definitely have the permits and the processes that are in place, but you know who you're going to talk to every time you pick up the phone. And I think that is one thing that, especially with construction, because you're always going to be talking to somebody about new permits and for the next build and things like that. So I can see that being a huge asset to be in a small town and know those contacts by name in order to be able to move that process along versus being just in a sea of bureaucracy.
Yes.
Right.
So that's a really interesting point that really hasn't probably been brought up as much since we haven't had construction on here.
Yeah.
Right.
So
There's not like this us versus them mentality, you know, with the powers that be. I think, like I said, we're all want to see progress. And so, of course, there is some red tape because you have to, you know, do things the right way. But it's definitely more collaborative versus, you know, trying to butt heads. So it's good.
Yeah, excellent.
It's really good.
Well, everybody's, you know, Allison, you know, she does her thing. Like we all like. I'm excited about everything you guys are doing. This podcast is really cool. It's an honor to be on here. Not to cut it off, but I'm loving everything you guys are doing as well. So it's like, you know, with the business that you run, and it's just, you know, you're in a town full of people who are movers and shakers, and it feels good. It feels good to be a part of that, you know, and everybody to watch, you know, Allison do her part, which is special. Watch you do your part, which is special. You know, everybody has their own thing that they do, but collectively, we're all going to grow this thing,
awesome.
and it's going to be cool and vibey. And, that's what I like.
Well, I appreciate
I'm glad
that.
we're here.
Yeah.
Well, you two are very successful entrepreneurs. You know, maturing a business, right?
Right.
And so what would you say to yourself, like your younger self, or maybe a brand new entrepreneur? What would you say about starting a business?
Do you want me to say what I was saying?
Maybe
Because
even specific to your industry.
I mean,
I think for me, like I'm the scaredy cat out of the two of us for sure. So I have to make like my pros and cons list, and I gotta like do projections and calculations to make sure everything. I'm crazy with it actually. So I would definitely say just go for it. Like if it's something that you're passionate about and that you love to do, and you're willing to work really, really hard and be super resourceful, you're going to find success. Like there's no way that you're not going to. You're going to be the best at what you do eventually because you're going to pour every ounce of yourself into it. And so that would be my advice for me as a child. I don't know if I would have listened to myself, but I definitely would say it would have been good, useful information.
Yeah. For me, I have no regrets along the way. Like, just do it. Like my thing is like, you get one time, you know, you get one life on this earth, and you get to, you know, live that the way you want to, being that it's the right way, the right avenue. Jump, like I would never, like I couldn't imagine, like, you know, living life and not living it somewhat on my terms, you know, doing what I want to do for a living and what I feel is fun every day. Like, you know, so if the younger me, I would tell them to do the same thing you did. Like, you know, maybe there's a few things, couple steps you could have skipped and not did that, and maybe not made that choice, or, you know, because you make them along the way, and that's a part of growing and being, you know, good at what you do. Or every failure is a lesson. It's not supposed to be a setback. Yeah, it sets you back in a sense, but it's just it's the process of learning and growing and becoming who you intend to be, who inevitably you're gonna be if you stick to it, if you don't quit. And my thing to tell any young entrepreneur or anybody that wants to do whatever they want to do is just do it. They're like, what's the consequences? Like, you get set back or you make a bad decision financially that eventually you can fix and get back right. Like that's the whole credit system. Like, like just jump, just do it. And if it doesn't work out, learn from what you made, where you made a mistake last time. Don't do that again, and just keep pushing forward, keep kicking. And so kicking and pushing. That's one it's good saying. Keep kicking and pushing. And that's what I would tell any entrepreneur. Like, stick to it. Enjoy the ride. There's going to be a lot of lows, not so many highs, but enjoy it. Like, enjoy the ride. And that's what it takes to be successful, is just sticking to it.
And also, like, live in those micro successes, because it does feel like you're hit with, like, putting out fires every day, like constantly. If sometimes you get caught up in that. And so when you do have those micro successes and you get to sit back and be like, that worked out, like, live in that moment and actually try to just take a breath, because sometimes it does get overwhelming trying to figure all of it out, but those little moments can really help get you through.
Well, nobody knows really where they were at in life until they hit a rock bottom. And then you go, I had it good there, So then when you get back there, appreciate that, and just know that on the way up to the next level, there's going to be another rock bottom. And for me, like I said, I've been saying the whole podcast, just learn to love every part of it. The lows, the highs, and keep it pushing.
Yeah.
So as this space grows, and this being Ethos at the Citadel, this is what we hope, or Russ hopes to have, is the small business incubator with a variety of technical resources available, which is well on its way of being established. What would you say would be a tactical resource that you would have loved to have had as you were gaining ground and building your business and making those pivots?
Do you want to take it or me?
I'm just saying, like, the resources I would have loved to have is, it's probably things that were there that I didn't, as far as what I'm doing now, that I just didn't take advantage of. Like, didn't really know to take advantage of, any of the construction classes that the high school may have offered. But, just having somebody that's successful in whatever business that is that they're shooting to try or to venture out and do themselves, it would be nice to have a place you can go to and talk to somebody who's been successful in that business, so they can kind of let hey, this is where you need to start, and this is where you can take it from here. Like, having somebody, there that you can talk to, that's been a part of that. That would have been a great resource for me. And I always found them, like, even in the music, like, I was just always like moving and shaking and meeting different people, and he does this, so I wanna, like, those are resources I use. But I was very active. Like, I was always moving around trying to meet different people. But if I were to come to this place, if I could, if I wanted to get into construction, having somebody that's been successful in the construction world would be somebody I'd want to come and talk to every day. Like, I have a question about this. Can you give me some idea of how I should handle this? Or, just having people around that have been there and done that.
Yeah, and Anthony, I know you're interested in mentoring young entrepreneurs. Yeah. So I just want to make sure that that you have a welcome invitation to do
it. Yeah. I do. I mean, and I do it all the time. Like, I got a couple younger guys that are getting into real estate now and demoing houses, and they call me every day like, what should I do next? Well, I'm going to give you this number and you call this guy and he's going to help you get that done, Right. And so just being there and having those resources to pass along. I'm always into passing along the resources. Awesome. I don't try to keep them to myself. That's good. If I have access to something and I can teach somebody younger that's trying to do that. There's not a lot of young people building houses. Like, it's a few people my age that I know. And I don't even know any younger guys that are really doing it. So to see this guy into it makes me excited, because somebody has to, come up and carry that torch. Yeah. So
I would say for a resource standpoint is how do you go from being Anthony Franks, the guy who, builds a deck, to how do you become Yellow Door, the business who, when I walk in the room, is looked at as a business versus an individual? Because there's a lot that goes into building something to where your taxes reflect it, your insurance reflects it, your social marketing reflects it, and then the banks also see it. Because to get financing, it requires you to have so many years of successful business history. So getting to that point, and not, because we had a lot of lessons learned on it, what kind of income do you need to show? How do you reflect that? How do write-offs play into that? Those are all really big factors that I think we overlook as important, and it can set you back years of putting in the work. So being able to catch that on the front end, I've gone in and sat down with local banks here and been like, well, what is that number? Where do you guys, how do write-offs, how do you take that? How do you divide that out? Those are things that can really make or break you and take you on either a 5-year journey, a 10-year journey, 50. It can be very disheartening to do it the wrong way. So I would say somewhere that you can come talk to somebody and figure that out on the front end is very, very helpful.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, Allison and I want to thank you for joining us on your first podcast, right? Excellent. Anthony and Padra Franks from Yellow Door Constructions, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys.
We will add your website in our show notes, but would you like to share the website where people can reach you?
Do you know?
You have
www.yellowdoorinc.com.
Awesome. And you looked in the camera too. You're professional now.
I was looking
You're
at
so
that thing the whole time.
We also want to thank our sponsors for making Small Town Big Business possible with a new episode every 2 weeks. And that includes Fowler Heating and Cooling, Arcadia Wealth Group, the Black Diamond, Harley Davidson and RV, Watermark Auto Group Foundation, Swinford Media Group, and also Union Street Arts. And I want to thank Luke O'Neill for being a great podcast producer, and also David Williams for being our post-production manager.
We would love for you to support the small town big business community on whatever your favorite platform is. We're on Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Podbean, and Apple. You can also find us on our YouTube channel and watch the video episodes.
And if you want to know more about Small Town Big Business, and you might want to be an upcoming episode, you can contact me, Russell, at watermarkethos.org. You might have a question about Ethos and what that's all about, our small business incubator emerging here in Marion, Illinois. Just reach out. Allison Hassler and Russell Williams, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.